Let's move on now and continue our updates from the United States. The year 2020 is possibly the toughest year for the United States since the Second World War. Now, earlier this week, the COVID-19 death toll in the country surged past 100,000. And the U.S. economy is now facing its worst crisis since the Great Depression of the 1930s. And now, violent protest and racial unrest has broken out across the country over the killing of a black man named George Floyd. Now, before the death of George Floyd, the focus of the country was completely on the joint targets of coronavirus as well as the subsequent unemployment that the U.S. was struggling to cope with. About 40 million people have lost their jobs during the course of the pandemic, and every week, millions more are joining the list of those claiming unemployment benefits. Before this pandemic hit, there had not been a single week where the U.S. had witnessed 1 million claims for unemployment benefits, but now it is the new normal. And many believe it has compounded the anger against the U.S. president's seemingly insensitive approach to handling this pandemic as well as the protests ongoing in the country right now. When the country was struggling to cope with the economic and healthcare crisis, U.S. President Donald Trump's strategy was to deflect the criticism from his administration and attack China. It may have worked for his support base, but certainly not with all Americans. Acts of arson, violence and looting indicate an outburst of anger which had been brewing over the past few months among Americans. For Trump, this could spell trouble. Much as he likes to talk about his ratings, the reality on streets seems to be entirely different. In a polling year, the triple crisis in the United States could spell major trouble for the incumbent president. Donald Trump still insists that he has a handle on all the matters, and he has adopted an even more combative stand towards the protesters. Instead of calling for calm, he has called the protesters thugs, and he also threatened to shoot the looters. And soon there were instances of shooting that followed. The U.S. president has also attacked the radical left, the Democrats and the liberal governors and mayors for this revolt. He boasts of an unlimited power of U.S. military and even suggests that his supporters to counter-mobilize. The first real threat that he faced was the coronavirus pandemic, and the president was clearly not living up to the expectations of Americans. The widespread protests may just mark the beginning of the end as far as his presidency is concerned.